Need a resolution to approve the minutes of the last meeting. Evelyn, seconded by John. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We only have one item to discuss today, and that's, to amend the table of organization and salary schedule to increase the hours for the GIS technician from 200 hours per year to 1,000 hours a year, and increase the hourly rate from $15 to $20, and extend the term for a period of 15 months to June 1st, 2016. Wayne, wanna tell everybody what we're doing?
Okay, we have a part-time person that's working for us in the GIS, and under the enhanced 911, there is a number of things that we have to accomplish that is really gonna take up Sarah's time. Also, as part of this process, the county received, I don't know, $115,000 or so for a hazard mitigation plan update, of which GIS is a significant component. We talked with Jim Lieber. Actually, Jim came to us and asked us if we would do that GIS component, and simply because then they don't have to bid it, figure there's more return on investment, and the county then owns all the product rather than the consultant. And in discussion, we felt it'd be a much better project if we handled it in-house. So looking at that, we looked at the budget and said, you know, $20,000, and he's in agreement with that. We talked with Kevin, who is the person that we have right now on this part-time basis. Kevin has a master's in GIS. To take this, he would leave other part-time employment, where he's actually making more than this, but he wants to, you know, keep current and proficient in the GIS field. So that's why we talked with Jim for that $20,000 figure to offset this, and that's really where it's at. At the last committee meeting, the budget amendment went through to allocate the funds for this, establish the revenue code and everything. The dollar amount and the hours were on the last packet. They were kind of not real clear, and I guess that's my fault. So to clean it up, talked with Joan, and we felt that this resolution was necessary to kind of just put everything in one spot. It was my understanding that the table of organization did not include part-time people, so that's why it wasn't amending the table of organization, but what do I know?
Paul?
Mr. Chairman, I think one of the concerns, though, that we should emphasize to the committee, that it was before you last time, but it got pulled from the board meeting because we were concerned about the $15 an hour rate being increased to 20 because we didn't feel that was clear in the minutes. So, and that is a significant increase. He's currently working for us now at $15 an hour?
Yeah, at 8 hours a week. You know, if we're gonna ask him to come for 20 and he's gonna leave other employment, where he's making a little bit more than the 20, but he's willing to do it because it, as I said, it maintains his proficiency in his GIS certification.
So basically, Wayne, you're representing to the committee that you feel that we have to pay 20 to keep this guy?
Yes, and if you extrapolate the $20 a year out to a full-time job, you've got a family of 4, that's still poverty wages. I'm sorry, but it is. 42,000 is poverty level for a family of 4. This would be 41,600 if you extrapolate it out to a full-time job. This is a guy with a master's degree in GIS. I think it's, you know, I think it's fair, and I don't know that he would leave his other employment for the $15 an hour. I think we've had that discussion, and it's just not worth it for him. So.
Any other questions? Okay. Hearing none, someone like to make a resolution?
I'll move for approval.
John, second. Fred? Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right.
It's not on the agenda, I just wanna apprise the committee of one other thing. As we are getting more involved in this enhanced 911, I'll do a case in point. We got contacted by Verizon that they are putting phones in the America's Best Value Inn and Suites. Under the new enhanced 911, every door on this place, all 130 of them, requires a separate 911 address. Has to be GPS located. This is actually at least a full day's worth of work for one person. And multiply that by all the other motels, hotels, apartment buildings, this is going to be a tremendous, time-consuming task over the next 2 years. So I just wanted everybody to be aware of that.
That sounds like overkill. I mean, if there's some emergency at that motel, they respond to that motel and they desk work, or someone tells them and they're in a room, whatever. I just don't get it. Why are they requiring that?
That it is a requirement of the new enhanced 911. It's not my decision to do that. The feeling has been that they've responded to apartment complexes. There is no manager per se. And it's in the third building out back, and there's a domestic violence issue, and they have no idea where to go. All they get is the office door, and if they go to Robert Gardens or something, and it's building way out back, they don't know. We're here now, they'll know which door to go to, which apartment, which store in the mall. If there's a fire in the mall, right now, the call goes out, and they go to the mall office. Now, you know, obviously, if there's a big fire, they'll see it when they get there, but, if it's again, a domestic, violence, or, personal injury type, thing, there's a delay finding the appropriate location. So, that's the rationale behind it.
Any other questions? No other business? Okay, thanks, Wayne.
All right, thank you.
Do you have anything for the group?
Yeah.
All right.
Good morning. A couple of things. EDC, in collaboration with the Adirondack Gateway Council, is entering into one of its final phases, but most important phase, of undertaking an economic development strategy for Warren, Washington, and northern Saratoga County. A number of surveys, I think all of you may have received a survey by email in the last couple of days, or you will receive one for you to undertake as a municipal official. We also are undertaking a survey in conjunction with the various Chamber of Commerces, also a survey for community service-based organizations, and also economic development organizations. So that's part of our outreach. In furtherance that, we have a total of 6 meetings that are upcoming during the next 4 to 5 weeks. 3 this coming month. On Monday night, the town of Chester has welcomed us back. We were up there in the fall, and Fred has been gracious to serve as host again Monday night at 6:30. Our economic development consultants will be there, along with providing some updates on broadband, on agricultural, farmers market, on affordable housing, and transportation. It's important to note that money is contained in the governor's budget, and that has been approved by the will be approved tomorrow by the legislature. So there will be an opportunity between the spring and fall to apply for broadband. The governor's initiative is to make a mandate to increase the capacity and speed statewide. I wish we were there collectively at this point. We're not there. We're still fighting, as Evelyn has done in Thurman for a number of years, just to get better communication up there. And we have that challenge in northern Warren County, in northern Washington County, in central Washington County, and certainly over in Hadley, Luzerne, in the town of Day for cell coverage and broadband. So I think this provides us a good opportunity to apply for some funds during the course of this summertime. So just want to just pass out to you. You're welcome to attend. What we're trying to do is our first meeting is on Monday, April the 6th in Chester, and we're kind of inviting that as the northern summit of the communities up there of Chester and Horicon. And we also have a meeting on Thursday, April 23rd, which will be in Washington County at the Fort Edward Volunteer Fire Company on Broadway for Washington County, and then we're over in Saratoga County on April 27th at Hadley. And again, we're trying to pick up in Hadley, Corinth, Town of Day, Luzerne. Evelyn has the choice of going to either over into Hadley or coming up to Chester. We then will have another series of meetings in early May, again somewhere in the North Country, again in Saratoga and over in Washington County. Our reports that we've been talking about here will all be concluded by the end of June 30th is our deadline for this report. So I think that this will be very helpful to assist the region, but equally important to provide some assistance for Warren, the respective individual counties as well. We have a website, which is www.agcny.org, where we will be putting up this information. Another collaboration that we have been working with, and would have to give our congratulations to a couple of organizations. SUNY has been very helpful, along with the Tri-County Transition Team, and the Adirondack Harvest, the Southern Chapter, and Teresa Whalen have put on the first of a few meetings of trying to put together the farmers and the restaurants in our area. That was held last Thursday at Dunham's Bay Lodge, and we are encouraging those restaurants to work with the farmers to see what the capacity of each of the farms are, and how our local restaurants can be at the forefront of buying local food. So it was a successful introduction of the farmers to the restaurants, and there's a number of local restaurants within Warren County that have expressed a willingness to work with the farmers. And again, it just shows you our diversity in our region and in our county of talking about agriculture and our products of maple syrup the last couple of weeks here in the Thurman and Stony Creek area. And then this morning I had the opportunity to tour Solar Apex on the Corinth Road in Queensbury. That is operated locally by Stan Dobert, kind of like the third generation Dobert family. They now have 70 employees at that location, and they're just bursting out at that location. So we had a tour. They principally are involved in residential solar, although they do venture into some municipalities and to some businesses, but they are seeing what funding would be available for their modernization of that building, which used to be Ben Aronson's AA Provisions there on Corinth Road. But again, 70 employees, and that was a substantial increase over the last few years, and they expect to increase in sales substantially, as well as they're looking to perhaps hire another 30 individuals. And I am pleased to report that at least 2 members of that business are graduates of the EPA job training program. I knew I'd get into that, right? But no, that's just, again, how, slowly we can make some inroads on this. But that's a great expansion and a great story for Warren County, looking at there. So we will be working with them, and I know there's a couple of people here that have some employment factors over there, so, I had an opportunity to go in and sit in on the sales meeting this morning, Fred, for a couple of minutes, so.
I've got one of my sons
Yes.
that started working there.
Is, over there, along with, Peter's son is, also over there, so, Peter McDevitt, yes, son is, over there. So, they do a tremendous, amount of, sales all through New York State, a lot obviously in the Queensboro area, but, they go north, as, far west as, Lake Ontario, and south they're opening a, office in Orange County. So, that kind of a positive news that I wanted to, relay on in the area of, solar. And finally, I just want to mention that contained in the budget will be additional funding for some economic development for our region. And once the regulations come out over the next month, we'll be able to sit down at the next meeting and review and see what potential projects would be available collectively by the county or on a by-county basis. And finally, it's admittedly taken us a little bit longer than we had liked to get this bi-county loan arrangement with Washington County, and it's not Washington County, it's working with the 5 banks in the New York State Business Development Corporation. Is every time we're kind of close to an agreement, there's one paragraph that has to be changed by someone. So we hope to have an announcement and start our loan. That will be another loan portfolio of $500,000 between Warren and Washington County that can be used in conjunction with other, obviously with banks. And we have a very good working relationship with Deanna Durway, who heads the LDC in Washington County. And we will work very closely. EDC, under the grant, will be ultimately responsible for the loan, unlike the LDC here, which is responsible for your portfolio. EDC, under the grant that was given to the EDC will be responsible for that. There will be a business loan review committee set up of bankers, as well as the underwriting will be undertaken by the New York State Business Development Corporation there. So I'm looking forward to implementing that to provide some assistance. I'm encouraged by some of the newer businesses that have been in existence for a short period of time that are looking to do some expansion. There seems to be a more positive attitude in thinking about hiring and thinking about doing some other marketing aspects compared to last year. And we hope to improve on that and go forth. So I'll answer any questions from the chair or the board.
Yesterday, Ed, we had a gentleman representing the railroad, Mr. Simpson.
Yes.
And essentially, he was telling us that the railroad is operating at a $1 million loss. Has he approached you at all?
No, but I have a check here for $1 million to provide to Warren County.
Would he be eligible though?
I saw the chairman's remarks in the paper relative to that. I think that is really something that would have to be looked at from the Empire State Development Corporation, the state of New York, to see if they would be eligible for some loan. I think our effort from EDC has been working on the rail freight side of this. And I know a lot of effort has gone into the tourism side, but I think that the added revenues, I think that there is a source of revenues that can come out of the freight side, and I know David Simpson talked about that a little bit. We've had a number of conversations, our office, with David as well as with Sterling Goodspeed, the attorney for the railroad in this area, and we certainly would reach out. We've reached out to David to set up a meeting and talk about the needs, and then going to Albany and talk about that aspects of that. One of the things we want to be careful with is one of the frustrations that the Saratoga North Creek Rail has is in order to get from, and I've talked about that before, to come from North Creek, our region, down to Albany, you have to deal with 3 other railroads. And there's really no rules and regulations. They can tie you up in terms of negotiations for a considerable period of time. So I think that if the idea is to sell to a 4th railroad, we want to be, making sure that we can have some kind of input into agreements so that that doesn't, hold up, Saratoga and North Creek that might be involved. And Saratoga agree not to hold up this fourth new railroad that's coming into the area, if it's not there. Probably the least favorable option would be is obviously for any type of municipality to be engaged in ownership of that rail line, at this particular point. I think that would be your last, option, if it's really an option at all, but, because of, the factor. I think there is going to be a greater need, but our hope is to try to, and maybe there are some other railroads that have expressed an interest, and what we might want to see is a railroad come in and acquire other railroads' interests. Instead of having to deal with 4, you might only end up having to deal with one or 2 down the road there. This is a very small part, as you know, of Saratoga North Creek's main business and company here, for this here. And I think collectively we are, and I know Wayne in his effort with his programs from the Department of State is trying to work very closely with all of the western towns along the rail in Warren County, and down into Saratoga County. I think that's very important, and we just have to do more to promote. We need better signage along those areas, and that's some of the grant money that Wayne has going forward into that area. And as Frank said, once you get off the train, you gotta have some things to do.
Exactly.
So, and I think that's where the monies that Wayne has been successful over the years is getting there. So, that's something we will work and partner with any group that we can to be helpful, both from the tourist side as well as to the rail side. Frank.
Anything else? Wayne?
I just want to mention, tagging along with that, yesterday we rolled out the new First Wilderness website. There's still some glitches. We're working through those, but it's really expanded upon what was there at firstwilderness.com. I invite you to go take a look. The problem is we're having a dilemma with Android tablets. Phones are fine, but we revamped the website so that it would be mobile. And the software provider that we're using recognizes that there's a glitch with the Android tablet application, and they said that they should have that fixed within a week. But it'll now work on your phones and your computer. So I invite you to go take a look. It's kind of restructured. We actually modeled it after the National Park Service so that it mirrors how they portray their information. So if you're familiar with one, you kind of know how to navigate through this one. And then the last bit, I was channel surfing over the weekend, and God help me, but I watched some of the board meetings.
Oh, my God.
You must be hard up.
You having insomnia or what?
But I'll just point out that it said it was 3/20/2014 instead of 2015. But I know it was the last meeting because it was talking about the reimbursements for the flood grant. So somehow the wrong date was put up. I don't know who controls that, but I would suggest that somebody take a look at that and see if it can be fixed so that.
I think Mike did that, didn't he?
Yeah, we usually review it, but I don't think we've seen it.
I think your marathon session did something to the computer.
Yeah, probably said this can't be real. Okay, any other business? Okay, motion to adjourn. Evelyn, Doug.
Yeah.
We met Dave.
Yeah.